there was this massive wave of used electric vehicles that was going to come to market. It was the aha moment for me.
I mean, you're thinking it's going to be like a 2006 Prius, right? And then you sit in one and your neck almost breaks and you're like, okay, hold on a second.
I challenge you to go find somewhere else you can do that. And feel free to start with the biggest names. It's not going to happen. What we're seeing is manipulation in the market. So it's really just made it more confusing for buyers.
John, thank you for being on this podcast. We appreciate you joining us today for Leadership in the Dealership, man. How are you doing?
I am great. I'm pumped to be here. Appreciate you having me, and look forward to our chat.
For everybody who's watching, I met John when we were out with Upstart at the dealership Recharged. And I got to tell you, John, and you probably get this a lot, it was one of the coolest dealerships to walk into because the EVs, right, were everywhere. And I think you were test driving a Rivian at the time. And as a gearhead myself, I was like, oh, look at all these cars. So really pumped. And when I met you, I think you were in and out test driving for maybe your wife, I think it was. But I just asked, like, would you be interested in being on this podcast? And, you know, when you ask these kind of questions, people are like, oh, yeah, sure, maybe one day. And I'm like, okay, cool. You were like, yes, absolutely. So I just wanted to get started to say thank you for doing that. And I wanted to ask you if you could tell the people about yourself. What you do, what gets you pumped, what gets you out of bed, and then why you're interested in doing stuff like this with us.
Yeah, so I guess working backwards, I did find a car for my wife. So it took some time, but she landed on a 2024 Kia EV9, and she loves it. So yeah, she drove quite a number of vehicles, and that was the one that felt most right for her. So happy for her. I've been in automotive retail for about 25 years. I started, really just selling cars, and then working my way through all the different roles in a traditional automotive dealership, eventually becoming a general manager. I was at a Nissan franchise, and I had the opportunity. I had decided really that traditional automotive retail was a struggle. There were a lot of things about it that did not align with who I wanted to be and how I wanted to do things. And I really just, I struggled to like continue doing that day to day. About the time I made that decision, a friend of mine had started a new automotive venture, car lots, and they were looking to do automotive retail differently. And part of that was that they were going to focus on consigned inventory. And so, I jumped on early, and it was an awesome experience. We went from like a very small operation to eventually going public. Had the chance to, grow that business across the country. And frankly, it really gave me the confidence to consider going out and, starting my own business next after I left that. And so, like anybody else, I definitely had a list of ideas that I was going to consider when I had the opportunity. And when that opportunity came, I started considering all of them, but I also stayed active in what was going on in automotive retail at the time. And so I was at a conference, and I was watching a presentation, and a gentleman was talking about the changing landscape of used car inventory over the next 5 years. And there was this massive wave of used electric vehicles that was going to come to market, into 2026 and beyond. And it was just like, it was the aha moment for me, because I'm thinking back on my own experience on the front lines of used car retail, and, frankly, like how poorly we were delivering experiences to used EV buyers. And I'm pairing that with like everything I know about the new car side as well, where, these OEMs are putting stringent requirements on their franchises to be able to participate in EV sales, recognizing that these buyers were looking for a differentiated experience. So they're demanding, whether it's, technology and people and training and on and on and on, like all these different things that the franchises would need just to be able to participate in EV sales. And it was just like, man, I mean, I'm not this huge EV enthusiast. I'm not, motivated by politics or environment or anything else, but I do recognize that this is a problem I think I can go solve. And so once I got that in my mind, I was like, that's it. This is where I belong. I don't know a lot. I got to learn as I go, but like, I know I can figure this one out and help people along the way. And in doing so, more than just offering this differentiated experience, you know, for an EV, a used EV versus an ICE vehicle, I can also take what I know about, offering a differentiated buying experience and bring those together. And that's, again, that's what just got me pumped. And like, once that was in my mind, put the book away, forget the list of other ideas. This is it. Let's go. So,
I mean, John, that was a fantastic intro to you. Just out of curiosity, how long has Recharge been in business?
yeah. So just crossed 2 years. Had a soft open back in April of 23. Did a grand opening later that summer, and have been just running since. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, short amount of time, I think, for this specific piece of your business, but some of the cool stuff that you've done that you don't see a lot of other automotive dealers do is your like crazy social media presence. So, one of the things that we wanted to focus on was like what got you into doing social media? What are the benefits that you see? How did you use it to make your brand Recharged really pop? Can you give us some of that background and like just your story about those pieces?
I think, it's something we're focused on every day and really trying to continue to grow an audience, a following. It really less about the numbers, like how many people are viewing our videos or liking our videos or any of that, but just, being present and engaging with people who are, considering EV or not, maybe just raising some brand awareness so that when the time comes, they'll think back to having crossed our platform at some point. You know, one of the, or a few things that I'm like really insistent on is that, we're authentic, we're genuine, we are who we are. We don't pretend to be anybody else. Not that we don't have some fun videos that we do here and there. But as it relates to like talking about our business and the interactions that we have with, buyers and sellers, they're real. It's, these are all real people, and the interactions are exactly what you would expect to see if you were walking in here without a camera.
Do you find that like your viewers, followers, they appreciate that more than some of the stage content? I mean, some of the things I think there's like a Chevy dealer that I see pops up all the time with like the paid actresses who are doing their thing and all that. But
Yeah.
I wonder, like, do your customers appreciate just that authenticity more?
I think so. It's a big audience, and you don't you don't know how everybody is reacting to these things, but some of the feedback that we do get is very good. People do appreciate what our interactions look like. They appreciate that we're sharing, relevant information for them as it relates to considering the purchase of an EV, whether it's talking about, battery health or tax credits or range or anything else. And we've got this incredible opportunity to do so because we have, as you pointed out earlier, a variety of different inventory. So we can talk about all of these different cars and how they can fit different people and their needs. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the education content I think that you can kind of offer in that's kind of quick, gets people knowledgeable, all of those pieces. That's what speaks to me personally. Like when I go and I look at a vehicle, I want to know what I don't know now. And by the time I'm done watching something, I want to have garnered that information, which you seem to do a great job. How do you balance like when you're going to do education versus just entertainment versus promotion? Or is it just whatever you feel at that moment?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, we do have, we have a thought for what we want it to look like and what that balance looks like. But opportunistically, we're going to do what's in front of us at the same time. So, if we enter a week thinking, hey, let's do 2 or 3 inventory pieces, but we have just bought some fire inventory over the last, 2 weeks, and it all starts coming in. It's like these cars go so quickly sometimes, and we are like, this car arrived. We have hours to do content before it's back out on the road, and somebody else owns it. So that'll drive some of it. Same with interactions. It's like we maybe we've done more than we thought, but there's just great interactions that we want to keep trying to grab, and so we'll do those as well.
That is really cool. What is like? How do you choose your inventory? Like, are you just going to auction, looking at it from wherever, and just buying whatever is EV coming out, or do you have a very specific way that you're choosing what you're going to get?
So we're very deliberate about our inventory management. We have a buy plan that's tied to our goals around inventory performance, but at the same time, want to be again a place where you can see every different type of EV, and I think that's something that is very unique right now. There are there are people out in the EV space that are selling some EVs. You'll tend to see a lot of them focused on Tesla. It's the car that's been out there the longest, that everybody knows the most about. It's pretty easy to transact on, but like we take on those challenges. There is going to be a buyer of every one of these vehicles, and we need to learn as well. So we continue to bring them all in, and it's awesome. I mean, just this weekend, we had somebody who came in from out of state because they were looking to compare a BMW iX with a Rivian R1S. And if like I challenge you to go find somewhere else you can do that. And feel free to start with the biggest names. It's not going to happen. Like we are very unique in that regard. And so yeah, I love that. But at the same time, it is a little bit opportunistic. If a car comes along and it's not on our buy plan, but it is something that we know we're just going to transact quickly, and our customers are taking it, then we'll take advantage of those opportunities. As far as where we source from, when I started, it was a lot of auction buying. But when I say auction buying, was really buying cars that were dealer trades that dealers are just not trying to keep. So at least I knew a little bit about the history of the car and so on. Today, we are sourcing a lot of cars directly from consumers all across the country. We are also sourcing cars from dealers. So there are a number of dealers that still don't participate in used EV sales, and they'll funnel those cars to us. And then a little bit of auction purchasing as well.
So I'm kind of curious about this for my own background, because I sold cars, but they were all ICE vehicles, right? I think I sold one Tesla in 2017, and that was the last real one that I had seen or sold. But for us, when we're bringing in a car and we're looking at it, right, I'm checking out your engine, I'm looking for leaks, I'm checking your tires, I'm going through checking chassis inspection, interior, all this stuff. There's not that many moving parts in the EV. So if you're going to source it from somebody, can you kind of tell us, like, what are the things that you're really honed in on looking at to decide what the value you should put on that vehicle is?
And that space changes every day. So even just in the last 2.5 years since I've been doing this, I've seen some improvements. Maybe not significant enough to like really move the needle and like give a lot of buyers confidence. And we've kind of trained ourselves ways to get around not having all of the information that we would like on a condition report or a listing so that we can make a decision. We've learned to be like sleuths, and we're, crawling through these pictures, looking for some identifiers that might help us out. But at the end of the day, once the car arrives, or if we're buying a car right here at the experience center, the thing that, we're looking for, battery health is an obvious one. And there's some predictive ways to take a look at what you would consider the battery health to be. And then of course some, more tech forward ways. And we're doing all of them. And then you're right, there's not as many moving parts. So like, there's the obvious, your body condition, tire condition, interior, etc. But then, you've got brakes, suspension, and those types of things. So easier to kind of quickly assess, what the needs are for vehicles. And some of those things are identified through condition reports and others not. So yeah, it's one thing I think that we have learned is that we have to be pros when it comes to reconditioning and our timeliness, so that we can uncover an issue and quickly get that arbitrated if necessary.
Yeah, and that's probably a lot different from what you're not just going to take it back to the dealer and be like, hey, I need whatever, a crankshaft sensor, right? Like, you're probably have to go through whatever it is with the battery and figuring out those pieces specifically. And that's something I feel like a lot of just the general public doesn't fully understand. Like, these batteries are so advanced, they're so crazy. If something goes wrong, like, we don't really understand what it takes to fix that. So it's nice that you guys are specialists, can really hone in on it, and are giving us that education to make us a more informed consumer. So definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that does extend to, dealers who are transacting in the wholesale space. Like if there's an issue that they did not identify in their own appraisal of that vehicle, and now we've identified it, and there's an arbitration going on, like auctions, dealers, like everybody's kind of learning at the same time, and we're able to provide a lot of guidance as to like how an issue could be resolved. Because I think on the ICE vehicle where there's so many different ways to repair, not as many in the EV space. So a lot of times the dealer might go, well, just send it back to me and I'll make it right. I'll find a way to make it right. But that's not as easy in the EV space at all. So
Yeah. So they're probably happy to meet you too. So they're probably like, okay, great. Somebody who knows now. I don't have to spend all this time to figure it out.
that's right. And that's really what like a lot of our dealer partners say all the time. Like, um, I mean, frankly, like at the time of working the deal, they're able to pick up the phone, call, text. We've got a web page, like get these immediate offers on cars because they don't want to face those issues. They don't know how to deal with them. And they just feel like today better served to just let that inventory go.
I mean, even for me, when I was on site, I learned about like different kinds of chargers I could have in my house. I learned about what battery deterioration looked like. I learned about what you should be kind of checking for when you're going through it. And I was not overwhelmed, but I was excited because I've never seen this stuff. So it's really cool that you offer that.
It is exciting. Yeah, for sure.
There is the side that I wanted to bring up that's like, I don't know if it's controversial, but it's like what's happening in today's EV market. We just wrapped an episode where we were talking about the rebate going away, right? The government rebates going away. And then you have rising rates, you've got tariffs and whatever's happening there, depending on the day, inventory issues, like all of these pieces. So, what I'm curious about is have any of these things impacted either your acquisition strategy, what you're looking at for deal structuring, or do they not necessarily go through the EV resale market? Like, how has that impacted your business?
Well, I guess if you've seen my content, then I am not a huge supporter of the EV tax credit. Now, I say that, I mean, a little bit tongue in cheek. Like, I definitely appreciate what it has done for some people, and giving them the opportunity to consider and ultimately purchase a used EV that they might not have otherwise been able to. But that was, that's specific to the people that the tax credit was intended for. I think like what we're seeing is a lot of manipulation in the market as it relates to like the rules and application of the tax credit. So it's really just made it more confusing for buyers. So instead of like this great thing that was offered, now you're facing dealers who are just doing like completely nefarious things to advertise with and even apply the tax credit and putting customers in a really terrible situation. And frankly, like it's not great if you're in favor of, total EV adoption or any kind of EV adoption. Like if people are out there considering an EV and then they go to market and it's just, terrible experience after terrible experience, then like at some point maybe you give up. And so for that reason, like I'm excited for the tax credit to go away for now, and for like those of us who are pros to continue to lead in the space until others are ready to fully get on board. So I think ultimately customers will benefit.
That's interesting. I don't think a lot of people fully understand the tax credit, weaving what it means. So that's great knowledge. Thank you for dropping that on us. Uh, yeah, I mean, it does feel like every day it changes. Like this time last year, I was like, oh my goodness, there's not going to be any gasoline left on any shelf, right? You're going to have to go and figure out how you're going to get into an EV immediately. And now you fast forward to this year, everything's kind of changed.
One of the things that we're very careful to do is make sure that we are hiring people who are empathetic and curious, and in doing so, like they should be asking questions and making sure that they understand what's driving somebody's curiousness to potentially buy a used EV. And if it doesn't make sense, then like let's guide them away, or like let's make sure we guide them to the car that does make sense. You'd be surprised how often somebody comes in thinking like, hey, I think I figured out what the right car for me is. But then when they describe like how they're going to actually use the vehicle in day-to-day life, you're like, that is not the car for you. Like we need to help you out here a little bit. So
What is your, and this is completely off topic, I'm just going to call an audible. What's your favorite EV? Can you even say that? Can you talk about that without getting in trouble?
If you ask anybody here on my team, they'll tell you that like the R1T, the Rivian R1T is my favorite. To add all the color to that, I like pickup trucks, and I coach baseball, and like they're great for throwing gear in. Um,
Yeah.
what I like about the Rivian over, say a Tesla that's been in the market forever, the Tesla, as a lot of people will describe it, is like a screen and then some leather seats, and that's not untrue. And I think Rivian has done a much better job focusing on fit and finish. It's just a very nice vehicle. When you get inside, you're like, man, I want to be in this truck. I want to be seen in this truck. Now I say all that, and the GMC Hummer, you can take the top off, right? And like that is hard. So if it's summertime and you're going to be out and about and you can pop the tops off that thing, that's hard to beat. So and still get the truck.
Oh yeah, I'm not even a GM guy, but I get into one of those, so I can feel that
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And
So
like coming from an ice background, especially if you're into Mopar, which I happen to be, it's like, give me the sound. I don't care about reliability. I just want to hear it. Well, with EVs coming in and being super quiet or that little noise that it makes so that you can alert pedestrians and everything, that has changed, right? And you have all of these manufacturers who have adjusted their policy to create EVs. So do you see that kind of diluting the enthusiast who loves an EV, like that piece? Or do you see it just they stick around and now it just has more appeal to everybody? And then how do you feel about what I guess Chrysler's Stellantis did with making that cat noise come out of the Challenger, right? So it still sounded like a car. Like, what are your thoughts on all of these things?
when I started Recharge and I'm like putting thought behind what does our online experience look like and everything. So I'm soliciting feedback from a lot of people I know. And you go into it again, and maybe I would have been a little bit differently guided if I was like a huge EV enthusiast or if I was climate focused or if I had some other motivation to be in the space. But as I talk to people, especially like EV owners, and I'm thinking I'm going to hear all about charging and range and da da da, and EV owners will like slow you down in a second and be like, hey, don't forget, like these cars are really fun to drive. They are awesome. They're great performance vehicles. And so, I mean, do people, confuse like sound with speed? Sure. I drive an EV all day long, and it gets a lot of attention, and it gets a lot of attention from some pretty loud vehicles that want to make sure that I see them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that it's there's a lot of opportunity in the EV space moving forward. Today we're focused on the retail side of it, and we're beginning to focus on the service side. I think there's going to be lots of opportunity for customization and performance, there's some out there today,
Yeah.
but that space is going to continue to grow as well. So the vehicles are just a lot of fun to drive. They perform very well, and more and more people will recognize that. I have that opportunity a lot, whether it's people that come here to the Experience Center to see us, or just people in my own network who are far from considering an EV, but now because I'm in their circle and I've got one outside, we can go jump in and go for a ride together, and they're like, their minds are blown all the time. They're just like, this is not this is not what I expected at all. And like all of a sudden, I would consider this now, and it's pretty cool.
I mean, you're thinking it's going to be like a 2006 Prius, right? Because you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to get in there and I'm looking for the little battery thing to go. And then you sit in one and your neck almost breaks and you're like, okay, hold on a second.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you go launch them in a Plaid or something one time, and like it's over.
To get away from the fun stuff, I guess it's all fun, but like, I really want to understand a little bit about how your online buying process works, right? Because you probably do a decent amount of deals that are online. Customers want to buy it, have it shipped out to you, etc. How do you kind of keep the relationship going with that customer if they're not going to be in your dealership and still have them remember Recharged if they want to buy another car?
That's a challenge, right? When again launching this, all of my marketing efforts early are focused very locally, just trying to stand up the business, stand up the brand, make transactions easier. And it has been difficult from go to do that. Um, the reason being that people are looking for what we are offering and they're willing to travel for it. So today, like on any given month, I'm only doing 40 to 50% of my business locally. Everything else is across the country. And I'm not marketing in California, but people in California, the West Coast, they find us, Texas, Florida, New York, everywhere. Um, and so, it's great to be building something that like people are seeking that desperately, but it has been it doesn't come without its challenges, as you can imagine. So even just in the initial transaction, like when somebody's sitting inside of your experience center, you can you can better understand tone and body language, and if things are going off the rails a little bit, everybody knows it and you can adjust. And when you're transacting online, you don't have that. So you know, constantly fishing for, um, you know, a quick check in on how someone's doing, make sure that we're providing the information. We're paying close attention to how our web page is performing and where people are spending their time, where they get hung up, where they disconnect, and continuing to iterate and improve there.
I love that. I love that. And that's something like our company focuses on, trying to make sure that the dealers have what they need to be able to sell a car. And you use one of our products, Upstart Auto Finance. And I just wanted to ask, like, does that play into your strategy? Does it make anything easier? Are there things that you like about it? Can you just share a little bit of your experience with what that's been like for you?
As somebody who is running a startup, I am not looking for like anything cookie cutter, right? So, one of the frustrations in starting a business like this is that there are a lot of rules around what companies will do, even just as far as like onboarding a company like us, or how they operate. And this space is changing, as we've already talked about, constantly, tax credits and value changes and et cetera. And what I'm looking for are like people who think outside of the box and are willing to consider, different ways to do business that align with the way I see people wanting to do business. These are different buyers than the broader market. And so, yeah, I've been extremely pleased with what we've seen from UAF as far as, offering our buyers tremendous opportunities to get financing that makes sense for them and their purchase. And as far as, a process, it's very easy for my team to navigate funds quickly. It's been incredible.
Just to kind of wrap up, one of the things that I want to go over is we talk about other dealers all the time, right? I deal with dealers in and out of their dealerships every week. I'm seeing all kinds of new stuff. For people who are looking to grow their brand as a dealership or connect more meaningfully, especially with today's EV buyer, what advice could you offer to them, or what do you recommend they try?
Yeah, I mean, I think put yourself out there. Be who you are, and just put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to engage. I don't think like standing in front of the camera is going to necessarily drive a lot of business to your door tomorrow. But over time, and if you are engaging, I think that will make a big difference. But again, and I said this earlier, like, be authentic. Let people know who you really are and how you operate, and they will appreciate that. I have found anyway, more than just doing some skits. So
I feel you, man. Hey, look, I am beyond grateful for you taking a chance with us and also letting us be a part of your dealership and being on this podcast. It's very meaningful, tons of great educational knowledge. If you're watching this, please make sure you check out Recharged everywhere you can. It'll give you a great breadth of what's going on in today's EV market. So thank you so much, John. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being on here. I look forward to having you in some of our other mediums as we go forward. And just, yeah, it's been a great conversation. So really appreciate it.